There's a lot of really great games out there, but there's not many I think I could genuinely call a masterclass. This, however, is one of them. Welcome to Platform 51. I'm your host, Convoy, and today we are going to be talking about one of my all-time favorite games, Transformers: Fall of Cybertron.
After eons of conflict, I finally see the truth of your words, Megatron. And what might that be, Optimus? This universe, no matter how vast, will never be big enough for you and I to coexist.
Metroplex heeds the call of the last prime.
For today's video, I do have a special guest. This is my good friend TFA 1024.
Thanks for letting me join on this convoy. Ball weep grogna weep ninny bong, everybody. My name is TFA 1024, also known as the TF Addict.
So before we get into the game, I want to preface that I'm an absolute maniac about Transformers. Like, I live, breathe, and sweat Transformers. So when I tell you that this is a good interpretation of the franchise's story and characters, that's coming from someone who has watched and read like literally everything that's ever been produced for this franchise. With that being said, Fall of Cybertron and its predecessor War for Cybertron is probably one of the best takes on the franchise ever. Transformers is no stranger to reinventing itself. They have rebooted countless times. There's so many Transformers timelines scattered across cartoons, anime, manga, movies, comics, and games. From an art direction standpoint, this game is absolutely gorgeous, and the interpretation of the Transformers and their home world of Cybertron is just phenomenal. The design philosophy on the Transformers themselves is some of the coolest these characters have ever looked. Whilst I do usually prefer my robots to be a little bit more anime, this is a very close second for me when it comes to Transformers design philosophy. The art direction of the planet itself is also great. From the destroyed, war-torn Iacon to the ancient abandoned complexes in the Sea of Rust, no environment is left lacking. And the music, oh my god, it's absolutely breathtaking. No amount of words I think could truly do it justice. The action is heavy and intense. The music shifts as well depending on who you're playing as. Levels with Optimus and the Autobots often have a more heroic tone, whereas when you play as the Decepticons, it's a little darker and a little bit more militant. And in the game's more somber moments, it is downright ethereal. Listen to this clip from the mission where you play as Cliffjumper and he finds an ancient map room deep in the Sea of Rust.
Primus, would you look at that? Jazz, I've stumbled into some kind of ancient map room of the universe.
Does the map point to something big and ugly named Grimlock?
No. Jazz, you should see this place. It's beautiful.
Oh, that's nice. Write a poem about it and move on.
But what is a game without its gameplay? Visuals aren't everything after all. On a gameplay level, this is incredible. There have been a lot of Transformers games, and none of them have really been able to nail the feeling of playing as a Transformer. It's usually been very clunky or weird. They've gotten close, but never like this. War and Fall of Cybertron absolutely nail this. The movement suite is simple. You can walk, dodge, sprint, transform, and boost. While performing all this, you can seamlessly switch between your two weapons, a heavy and a primary weapon. Your vehicle mode also has a weapon, some of them having two. This all flows seamlessly together and creates a movement suite that is incredibly fun, fluid, and functional. There's also special abilities, but I'll touch on those more later. Outside of the standard characters, there's also Bruticus and Grimlock, each having their own segments in the game. Bruticus is ginormous and is a walking death machine. He has a flamethrower, rotor shield, and melee, as well as his special ability that absolutely ruins everything in his path. I'm going to let TFA tell you about Grimlock.
his playstyle is so unique from every other Transformers character in this game, and it's such an enjoyable and satisfying moment when, you know, you're playing as him in his robot mode a large majority of the time, and then you finally are able to transform, because Grimlock is very much Kratos, in a sense, where it's like, if you've played God of War 2018, you know, you have the Spartan Rage. That's basically Grimlock. Like, Grimlock pre-coded that shit. And I think it's really satisfying to be able to, like, have that rage meter fill up, and then you just transform into a giant mechanical space T-Rex and just utterly annihilate the battlefield. It's so fun.
Before I get into the levels and story, I'm going to let Optimus tell you what happened last time.
Cybertron, the home world we Autobots have strived to protect from the Decepticons, can no longer sustain us. Eons of civil war have caused the greatest of casualties. Our planet's very core has shut down, halting its production of life-giving energon. Most of us have abandoned our home in hopes of finding a new life among the stars. I am Optimus Prime, leader of the Autobots. We do not know how many of our brothers escaped Megatron's blockade. I can only be certain of this. Just one transport remains.
I'm not going to get super deep on every level, but I'm going to discuss their general premise and their highlights. The game's story opens at the end, with the Autobots on board the Ark escaping the planet with the Decepticons in pursuit. This is a tutorial level where you get to play as Bumblebee. This level's fun, but doesn't have much really crazy going on gameplay-wise. It gets you prepped for the rest of the game and has a lot of cool set pieces, and I think that's important.
This ought to do the job.
Even if you destroy me, Megatron, others will rise to defeat your tyranny.
Then I'll just have to destroy you all.
The next two levels you play as Optimus struggling to defend Iacon, the Autobot capital, from a Decepticon invasion. Optimus struggles with balancing their use of Energon, and in the process of defending their home, they burn through the Ark's fuel reserves. However, sleeping beneath Iacon, Optimus finds an unlikely ally, the Titan Metroplex. After his incredible reveal, together they repel the invasion.
Metroplex heeds the call of the last blood.
Optimus, what just happened?
Easy, Perceptor. He's one of us.
Near the end of the level, however, you are ambushed by Starscream and captured. Metroplex comes to your aid and in the process kills Megatron.
Running, you fool! Stand and fight!
With Starscream taking over after him.
Decepticons! Megatron has perished, betrayed by his foolish pride. I, Starscream, am your leader now!
During these levels, Optimus gains an airstrike ability, which is a lot of fun to use. It's not the most insane of the gameplay augments, but it's a really good time. Expect a lot of heavy urban combat and a lot of CQC engagements in this level. After this, we begin the Sea of Rust arc with Jazz and Cliffjumper. During the last level, Optimus sent them to investigate Grimlock's disappearance, so their mission is to find him and his squad. Sea of Rust is a very, very cool location. It's the dilapidated ruins of an ancient Transformers society. Apparently, it is unknown what truly happened to them, but it's theorized that some kind of giant explosion left the city like this, at least according to Perceptor in one of the audio logs. This mission introduces some new enemy types, and Cliffjumper gets an active camouflage ability, allowing him to go invisible. This allows you to stealth your way through this mission in many of the segments. But the new enemies in this level can see you through cloak, so you have to watch out for their scanners. Into the next level, you switch perspectives to Jazz, whom has a grappling hook. It's very well integrated and is a lot of fun to jump from platform to platform. These levels are good, but they're probably my least favorite section of the game. They have a lot of cool moments and a really cool backdrop, but the monotony of fighting Insecticons over and over again in the second level as Jazz does get kind of annoying. At the end of the last level, Jazz and Cliffjumper find a large reservoir of Energon and a huge tower. The Autobots devise a plan to transport the Energon back with a large carrier, however the Decepticons aren't going to let them take it without a fight. This section of the game is my favorite. Across these levels, you play as various members of the Decepticons Special Operations team known as the Combaticons. These guys are the hardest MFs of all time. All of them just ooze cool, they have such wicked designs and very fun personalities. You begin as Vortex, who is tasked with destroying a bridge in the way of the Autobot transport. You fly in and expose the supports so Brawl, the heavy of the group, can shoot out the supports in his tank mode. But that isn't without its complications.
Guns are online, Onslaught! Ready to pound some metal!
Vortex has a very fun equipment suite. His helicopter mode is very fun, and his shockwave ability is absolutely devastating at close range. He has the strongest vehicle weapon in the game, and frankly might be the most fun character to play as. With the bridge taken out, the plan moves on to Phase 2. Here you play as Swindle, the con artist of the group. He has a grappling hook like Jazz, and you have to engage the Autobots on the ground and board the transport to hijack it. However, the mission starts going south, and the Autobots transform the carrier into flight mode, so Onslaught, the Combaticon leader, comes to give you some backup. Now all the Combaticons are together, and they transform into Bruticus, the giant living weapon I talked about earlier.
We need to take control of this ship! Combaticons, combine into Bruticus!
You obliterate the Autobot forces in your way and storm the bridge of the ship in possibly the coolest cutscene of all time.
Retreat! Retreat!
Combaticons! I told you to abort! The mission is lost! Who are you to defy me?
I've heard enough of his orders. We're going down! Vortex, blast off! Grab hold of the flight controls. Engines are shot, Onslaught! Best we can manage is a controlled crash! Then manage it! We're too steep! Pull up! I'm trying! Brace yourselves!
After seizing the bridge, the Combaticons are forced to crash land the transport due to damage sustained, losing most of the energon in the process, much to the chagrin of Starscream, who then proceeds to arrest you.
No one addresses the leader of the Decepticons in such a manner. Arrest them!
Oh yeah, forgot to mention, he is the most incompetent leader of all time. Like, he kept botching this mission over and over again. He's one of my favorite characters, but he is incredibly annoying. Soundwave has grown tired of Starscream's leadership, so in the next level you get to play as him and rebuild Megatron. Upon coming back, Megatron is immediately pissed off, and is going to go take the fight to Starscream.
Balancing auditory sensors. Optic circuits online.
Where am I?
Here, my lab near the gladiator arenas.
Where is Starscream?
Decepticons! A new age is upon us! Gone are the failures of Megatron!
Enjoy your brief respite as leader. It will not last.
Megatron has a hover slam ability that just absolutely annihilates everyone in your path. He's incredibly fun to play as, possibly even more fun than Vortex. His tank mode hits hard, his abilities hit hard, his kit just makes you feel like you really are him. Like you are the force of nature, the Decepticon leader, Megatron. Once Starscream is dealt with, Megatron wastes absolutely no time and immediately begins working on his next plan, Project Nemesis. In the last game, the aerial bots shot down Trypticon, a giant Decepticon dragon that turned into an orbital death cannon. Megatron travels to the crash site with an invasion force to reclaim his power core.
Where are we headed, Megatron?
The crater where Trypticon crashed when he fell from orbit.
Think that monster is still functional?
I care not. His power core is what I need.
This level is one of my favorites. There's just something wicked about playing as Megatron on a military operation, just destroying your way through the Autobot forces as they run in fear of you. Once you secure Trypticon, Soundwave reformats him into a starship called the Nemesis. The cutscene where Megatron talks to Trypticon is very good, and so I'm going to let it play here for you now.
Trypticon, if you can hear me, understand this is not a rescue mission. Despite your great power, you failed to destroy the Autobots. You failed me. Henceforth, your chassis will be altered and redesigned to my specifications.
Megatron, in his damaged state, Trypticon's alternate form will become permanent.
All the better. Soundwave, initiate the Nemesis protocol.
Megatron's characterization across these games is very good, and I think this level really adds to him. He's just so ruthless, and is just so fun to watch. He might be my favorite character in these games. But now for my favorite level, Starscream's Betrayal. This level isn't very long, but it has some of the most entertaining combat in the game. Active camo and flight is a very fun combination. Starscream has had enough and is trying to get back at the Decepticons by sabotaging Shockwave's whole operation. Shockwave this whole time, by the way, has been remaking the Energon Tower from the Sea of Rust that Jazz and Cliffjumper blew up. In any case, the mission opens and you actually get to play as one of the generic background Decepticons. It's a really cool moment, and I always thought it was funny how long the trooper will go on for if you don't kill him right away when the perspective switches to Starscream.
So, what are you gonna do?
After fighting your way through the skies, inside Shockwave's lab, we finally come face to face with Grimlock, who really does not care for Starscream's bullshit at all. This take on Grimlock is very fascinating. Instead of being a giant dumbass like he is in every other timeline, in this he has been experimented on by Shockwave, causing him to have a hard time being coherent. He's smart, he just can't really articulate his thoughts properly. Beyond the damage to his mind, however, Shockwave modified him and his team to turn into dinosaurs. He studied the life on Earth based on the logs he found in the Sea of Rust. That's why they turn into dinosaurs. They don't really do a good job of explaining that, and I thought it was neat. The other Dinobots whom you find on the way through the level take this change in stride, but Grimlock, not so much, being only able to transform when he is super enraged. This level is a lot of fun, and Grimlock is a very well-written character in this game. His hack and slash gameplay is very fun and a nice change of pace on the first go, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little tired of it after playing this level so many times through my life. It is still entertaining, but the normal combat I think is a little bit more engaging in the long run. But on a first playthrough, you're going to have an absolute blast with this level. The level ends with Grimlock destroying the Energon Tower and destabilizing the portal in space the Transformers are trying to leave through. The Autobots out of resources are doomed, but Metroplex comes in clutch. He sacrifices himself to give the Autobots the Energon they need to leave. His death scene is short, but it's very effective. You can't help but feel for the big guy.
Till all are one.
This leads into one of the coolest finales in any game I've ever played. You start off as Soundwave, and you are tasked with boarding the Ark, but it was incredibly important to Megatron that you do it with the most aura possible. After flying through space on a tow cable, killing a bunch of guys and disabling the cannons, you switch point of view suddenly to Jetfire. As Jetfire, you're fighting the Decepticons in the sky and shooting down the tow cables that Soundwave allowed to get shot over. When you're done blowing those up, however, you suddenly switch the perspective of Bruticus, who's flying over regardless of the tow cables, and destroy the Autobots on the roof of the ship. But after absolutely destroying everyone in your wake, it suddenly switches you to Jazz, and you have to take him down. The way that all of the characters you play as intersect with each other's actions is very, very well done. At the end, you get the hardest exchange of dialogue ever that you saw at the beginning of the video, and then get to duke it out in the 1v1 of the century. In most videos, I see them pick Optimus, so we're going to go with the GOAT Megatron. The battle ends the same, but the fight itself plays out differently depending on who you choose. The moves here are absolutely brutal. These guys are tearing each other apart. The game ends with the two ships and leaders falling into the portal, starting the events of Transformers as we know it. This may have been the coolest setup for a timeline they've ever done, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention how hard they absolutely dropped this ball. So the show Transformers Prime, well admittedly pretty decent, was forced into canon with these games, and it just doesn't make any sense in canon with them. Prime's sequel, Rid 2015, is probably the worst Transformers show. There's no probably. It's the worst Transformers show, and it completely ruins this timeline in its own way. As a result of this, I tend to just take the games as their own canon, along with their 2 tie-in novels, Exodus and Exiles. There is a 3rd novel, Retribution, that attempts to make the games fit into Prime's canon. I don't think it quite saves that, and I don't think anything ever could, but it's still a solid novel. Regardless of all that, this game is phenomenal. And unfortunately, it is completely delisted. I was lucky enough to get the HD Xbox One port and the Steam version before it got delisted. Steam keys are worth so much money now, it's unreal, so the only way to really play this is to buy physical copies on the 360 or PS3, which cost the same as the game did when it came out, if not more. As a result of this lack of support, the servers are also shut down, so multiplayer is no longer supported on console. There are some fan-run servers keeping the PC multiplayer alive, however. Fall of Cybertron is an unfortunate masterpiece. It's delisted, will never get a sequel due to Activision's contract, and is, in a rough spot. But the game is just amazing, and Transformers fans are still talking about it to this day. It is often hailed as the best Transformers game.
But Fall of Cybertron is a game like no other. I hold Fall of Cybertron as like the epitome of every Transformers game, what it should be. From the characters, the voice acting, the overall graphics. I mean, graphics and everything that still hold up to this day. The designs are out of this world, and they should be because they're all taking place on Cybertron. But the music, the characters, everything that is been put into this game, you can tell it's not made by just some sort of corporate company at the likes of High Moon. These are people that genuinely cared for this game, that took the time, the effort, the energy, the passion to really give us something that we love. And I adore Fall of Cybertron.
There will never be a Transformers game this good again. At least, probably not for a very, very long time. Anyway, I wanted to say thanks again to TFA for the cameo. His links will be down below if you want to check his stuff out. I have been Convoy, and thank you for watching Platform 51. Hopefully soon my co-host Cowboy will make his debut video, so keep an eye out for that. We'll see you next time.